Today's video is sponsored by Kizane45. Thank you for being a member of the channel. Before we get started today, I have some really awesome news that I want to share with you guys. And that exciting news is that the prototypes for the hats are here, and we're gonna go take a look at them right now. So here's our merch. These are, of course, the prototypes. We're gonna put in an order after this. We have some slight adjustments we're gonna make to them, but we made sure we got really high quality hats for everyone. So they are really, really good quality. The inside of them is a nice material. They're made really well. And we have a couple of different design choices for you guys to look at. We have the white hat with either the black background logo or the white one. Dark blue hat here with the little circle logo on the side. And then we have, which personally, this is probably one of my favorites, a nice navy blue with another little rope hat on it. And then of course we have the dad hats as well. Now we're probably going to change it so that this one has a black border instead of the white one. But that being said, if you guys like one of these two options the way it is, let me know in the comments. But these are going to be rolling out fairly soon. We're just wrapping up a couple of details on some of the hats here. But we made sure we picked out a really high quality hat choice. The build is a little different on a couple of them, but they are very high quality. We want to make sure that we're sending you guys some really quality merch that is not only merch, but also looks cool to wear. So yeah, excited to be releasing that. And coming up in the near future, once we get our hat going up on the website there, we're gonna have some t-shirts coming along next. So today's video, we're gonna pick up right where we left off last time with repairing the back of the transom on this boat. Last video, we left off with putting on the marine ply and getting that adhered to the back. And you can see this is well and dry. It's been about a week. Actually, no, it's been about 2 weeks. I wasn't able to make a video last week. I actually got sick. So apologize for that, guys. We're gonna be picking up right where we left off here. But so what I need to do is establish the lines where the battens meet and where the frames are, so I can then start plotting out where the fasteners are gonna go into the back of this piece here. But to get started on it, what I'm gonna do first is adhere the plank onto the back, get all the other planks fit onto the back here, then take it off, put in my epoxy or my sealer, whatever I'm gonna use, onto the back of it and reapply it. I'm not going to drill all the holes right away. That way I don't have stuff pouring out of the holes when I'm trying to adhere it onto the ply. But I am at the very least going to establish what I want the pattern to look like and get some basic holes set up for it. Now, as I mentioned in a previous video, you can take reference from the old plank. Now, seeing as this plank isn't the factory plank, because there's no sealant on the back of it, there would have been. This is somebody else has done this in the past. I can take roughly the same idea from it, but I'm not going to copy it 100%. So you see on the batten running down this way, I have 1, 2, so I got 4. And then the space in between this batten and this batten, I have again 1, 2, 3. So that's probably the spacing I'm going to use for these. And then moving up to the top here, they actually made an error when they were installing this plank. Instead of having it parallel like this, you want to do it so that this hole and this hole have one here. So you're stitching the holes. Otherwise, this exact issue with this crack forming, that will happen on the boat. So it's really imperative that when you do this, you stitch the design together kind of, like that on here. So here I have a couple of fasteners in the back. Right now I'm currently just using 8 by 3/4 fasteners on here. Now typically for the battens you want to use 8 3/4 so that you're not blowing the battens up. They're very small in some areas. But for the actual structural part, like the frame for example, where it's like a lot thicker, we're going to actually be using 8 1 1/4 for those to get a little bit more grip on that, because we can be a little bit more confident that the wood isn't going to shatter once we put a fastener into it. But here you can see I have the plank lined up right in the exact middle here, so I can begin to push it and adhere it onto the back of this and start dry fitting the next plank. So like I had mentioned in the last video, one issue you're going to run into when you start fitting these is they're not exactly where they were when you dry fit them without the marine ply. Keep in mind you're adding about 3/16 worth of material behind the wood, so it's going to change where everything sits. Now that being said, what I'm doing now is I'm fastening in the middle, making sure it's tight, and I'm trying to work my way out to make sure everything fits. I may have to reshape a couple of pieces. I may have to move some things around. One thing I did notice is I got a little bit too trigger happy with the drill, and I put this fastener far outside where it needs to be. Again, it may have fit better previously, but you know, I've moved some things around, so that's entirely my fault, that fastener. But thankfully with this build, this is all just getting painted white. So, but I'm just going to continue on kind of forcing this on here and getting everything lined up. So there's the first 2 planks fit. Now you'll notice the gap in here. It's pretty tight consistently all the ways down. I have my fasteners relatively straight up and down where I need them. I have as few as possible, and keep in mind, again, things have shifted, so the pattern isn't perfect. That's why you don't pre-drill all of the holes first. You want to make sure you get the boards fit, and then you can mark out where they're going to go. So down along this side here, I have this marked out. I'm not going to cut it right away, but I do know where the boat ends and the plank begins. And then down along this area, I have it sitting just underneath this. This is all rotten and broken. So technically, this is sticking up higher than it needs to be, and it's sticking up even higher over here. I actually cut the little ends off of the deck planks here to get this fitting flush. I'm going to be changing all of these deck planks here, and I much rather have extra material on this piece than shaving away material to make it fit these rotten old boards. So I just cut the ends off of them to make it flush so I could fit this piece on. Then when I flip the boat over and I pull these planks off and put the new ones on, I can get this sitting exactly where I need it to be and get it sanded down. I know this is getting removed anyways, and I'm not going to make my new piece of wood fit the old rotten pieces. I rather just, you know, start fresh and build with a good solid building block. So yeah, I cut the ends off of that and it fits pretty good. So that's the first 2 planks fit up. I'm gonna get the second plank, sorry, I think that would actually be the third. I'm gonna get the third plank in place here and start to get that one mocked up as well. Now what I'm doing is I'm getting the middle fastened down, and then I'm slowly working my way outwards so that I'm putting the tension in the right spot. What you don't want to do is fasten this end down and then come over here and fasten this end down. You're gonna have a weird air pocket in between. You want to kind of even it out like a sticker, or if you're familiar with torquing down heads of engines, it's exactly the same thing. You want to make sure that you're taking the pressure off and putting the pressure on in the proper way. For example, let's say that I have all of the fasteners in here, okay? And I leave 1 or 2 here, and I start taking off fasteners like this. And I go all the ways down, and then I come back and I undo one of these. What's gonna happen is the tension in this board is going to rip the head of that screw right through. So you have to think about this. You have to take them all off and slowly take the tension off that board. Otherwise, you're gonna risk damaging and breaking the wood that you are removing or installing. And you really don't wanna do that, because that's just unnecessary time and waste. And again, ask me how I know, you know? I'm learning here too, so I'm just kind of sharing with you guys the mistakes that I've made along the way so that, you know, we can both benefit from it. And moving on, you know, this is my personal first time doing one of these boats. Moving on, I'm gonna be doing eventually, like, you know, other little projects and stuff, but there's tons of experience with the other techs that work here and build these boats, so they're kind of helping me along as I'm learning all the ins and outs of the tricks in the trade. But again, I'm just trying to show you guys like exactly what you're going to encounter, what problems you're going to run into, what mistakes you're going to make. I'm trying to show you guys the all the tiny little nitty bitty details, because it's going to help hopefully you with even just one little thing. If you can just learn one thing from this series, I'll feel happy, because that's all I'm trying to do. Make this information more accessible, combine all the years of experience that those gentlemen have building boats into this video series here. So there's the last plank fit onto the back of the boat. Now the next thing I'm going to be doing is I want this to all be really cohesive and fit together. So I'm going to be cutting down the extra material I have right here, as well as cutting down the extra material I have in this area. And what that's gonna help me do is establish the design for the pattern on the back of this. I'm also gonna sand it down, get things kind of relatively smooth, and remark out exactly where all those holes are gonna be for the fasteners. I'm not gonna drill them all, but I wanna know where they're going to be once I'm ready to assemble the transom planks in with the epoxy. So there we go, I got the edges kind of flat in here. You can see we got this nice and smooth. And this is of course where the bottom is going to be sitting. The bottom, once it's the ply, is going to be sitting a little bit past, and then it'll be flush here so the water can rush past it and not get hung up in these little edges. So I just made this nice and even with that using the plane. And then of course I have the planks kind of sitting on here. Now the sides aren't perfectly round. I left just a little bit extra to be sanded down later. We'll get the rest of that cleaned up. But yeah, that's essentially the dry fit of our planks. Now of course, I'm gonna have to sand the face down and mark all this up for our fastener holes. But for now, that's essentially what we're gonna be looking at for the planking on the back of RatSync. And yes, there will be liberal amounts of uses of epoxy on this boat. It is a painted surface. Thankfully, it's a shop boat. It's whatever. So we're just gonna put epoxy where we need it to get these things filled up. Yeah, just to get it working, get it on the water. But I've made quite a mess, so I'm just gonna quickly tidy this up, and then I'm going to kind of paint up the back area here. That's a little bit better. Looks a little bit cleaner around here. Now, Jim and Artem are currently working on a gravette right now, and they're kind of doing the same thing, except they're doing hull sides. They're also doing a transom, but let's go take a peek at what they're doing on that gravette. So what exactly do you guys have going on at the moment?
We're trying to epoxy the planks, the finished planks on. So we have pre-cut them, pre-shaped them, but we've added plywood. So the plywood always makes a little difference, so then they have to be checked again. Now what we're up against is trying to get them on, get them tight, get them down, but we've got plywood in the way, so you can't clamp to the boat in any way. So now you gotta get creative. We've clamped to the trailer, we clamp to the covering board, we get creative with straps and all that sort of stuff. So we've gotta get it in tight, get it to fit, then we could start getting the screws in. The screws will hold it, but temporarily everything else is holding. So now we're putting screws in. These are frame screws. So we're doing those first, and then we will tighten it up with batten screws just to get the individual planks nice and tight together and held firm. And then the epoxy will set and will be golden, hopefully.
Enough said.
What he said.
Yeah, what he said. Now, as for the transom, they actually went a different way here. Now, if you guys remember, the problem we ran into with RatSync, where we put the marine ply, and when we did that, the wood stuck out a little bit. So what they've done is they've actually recessed this, and they've put the marine ply inside of it. So it's actually inside of the framing here. This piece actually carries down to around here, and they sealed this and installed it. That way, when they put the planks on, you're not going to see that marine ply sticking out. So that's a clever solution you can do to solve that same exact problem we were having with RatSync. Now, I certainly could have got that fancy, but didn't, because this is just a little shop project boat. I don't really care how it looks. But you can see the ply sticks out. So what they have done is this piece here, they've recessed it and then put that marine ply in. So it's a nice way of doing it, and it solves the problem of trying to make it a modern bottom without showing that it is a modern bottom. And in fact, that's kind of a big thing for people that do the Concours levels boats. Sometimes they'll even take the ply and they'll put grooves in it to make it look like planks. And actually, I'll show you again on the gravette where you can see someone has done that in the past. So inside the gravette, someone in the past has cut this just on the surface to make it look like planks, but in reality, this is actually all just one big piece of plywood. So right now they have the adhesive on the back of the wood, and they're currently fastening it down in all the corners. And once they're done with that, they're gonna take the straps off, and then they're gonna run and work together as a team and fasten this piece of wood down in one foul swoop.
What you're looking for is a little bit of squeeze out, and you can see a little epoxy if it pulls it in nicely.
So I'm gonna end the video there, guys. Thank you so much for watching and being a supporter of this channel. We really appreciate it. And the sun is coming out, so we are gonna have some boats on the water shots pretty soon. It's almost time to get back out there on the lake and start punting around a little bit. We're also hoping to make our way out to a couple of boat shows this year as well. If we can do that, we'd love to meet up with you guys, and we'll have some of our merch there available too. But until next time, see ya.